Now, here at Generation X Paranormal, we won't arbitrarily just stop midweek for any topic at all, but something pretty recent just came up with the Pentagon testifying at a congressional hearing. So we sort of figured we'll let Nicole keep researching what we wanted to do this week, and we're going to bring you this story first. So stick around. Welcome to Generation X Paranormal.
It is going to be virtually impossible to fully identify that just based off of that video.
So as you see, still some questions left unanswered. That new video was released today during the hearing. It was captured by a U.S. military drone in the Middle East. So
for the second time in 50 years, the Senate had a hearing really just pertaining to UFOs. And that's pretty interesting, considering that the government's position on UFOs or UAPs has always been that they don't exist, or they're not alien by nature. And UAP is unidentified aerial phenomenon, which really is government jargon for UFO, because at this point UFO is a moniker that I'm pretty sure they don't want any kind of attachment to. But at any rate, the video you just saw, that was presented by Sean Kirkpatrick. Now, he is the director of an all-new let me get this straight because it is an interesting mouthful. He is the director of the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. How about that one? So that was started last year, and there's been an uptick. Okay, I think right now they're stating that out of here. Let me make sure so I've got good numbers for you. But yeah, so as of the start of that particular office, there have been 510 sightings that they are currently tracking. Now, they have stated that a good portion of that, or actually half of that, was written off as balloons or some other anomaly, but the other half, they ain't got no clue. So that's pretty important, considering that they have now created an office. And I can tell you this from my military background and really just being around government spending. They don't like to spend money on things that there's no real return of investment on. And they will pour money into things, stupid things, yes, but they don't just whip the pencil or the pen around and give you a whole bunch of money allocated for no reason. There's been an uptick, so there has to be some kind of, I guess, parallel or understanding of what that is. And I'm sure that the government has created this entity, one, to probably absolve themselves of saying, well, we're not going to talk about that. We don't talk about Bruno. But what they're actually doing is they're creating this maybe to, get us ready for it. I mean, you don't know. They could be getting us ready for the big win to come on home and understand that we are not alone. But this new video, this is nothing that we have not seen before.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is the LNS, dude. Well, if there's look at that thing. It's rotating. Nickel 6-1, take a Roger. Oh, got it! Woohoo! Roger, there's troubleshooting. Did you box moving target? No, I took an auto track. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, dude. Wow.
So it's pretty interesting stuff. But one of the things that I find interesting is that they're still steadfast in saying, well, there's no reason to believe that this is an encounter of alien beings. But Kirkpatrick also went on to say, and I'm quoting, this is off the ABC News website, says, Kirkpatrick told the panel that his office is now reviewing more than 650 UAPs. So I'm even wrong in my figure. It just keeps growing. But it was reported by military personnel, and it looks like The video that you saw was in January of this last year, so it's very, very recent. But he did say, without sufficient data, we are unable to reach definable conclusions that are met with scientific standards we set for resolution. So basically, they're saying that he is not going to close any of these cases without being able to define them with science. So that's kind of a win. I know a lot of people will say, well, that's not a great win because, they're going to deny it, of course. But what that means is that they will keep the case open. So that's really important. A lot of the times, especially given, the early 50s or when some of this UFO phenomena first started, it was pretty kept slammed shut. He goes on to say 52% of the reports involve objects that are described as round in shape, with the remainder that fall into shape categories. What's shape categories mean? Anyway, most of the round objects range from size from anywhere from 1 to 2 to 4 meters and are described as being white, silver, or translucent metallic. Now this is the fun one. With apparent velocities ranging from stationary to twice the speed of sound. Yeah, that's kind of a humdinger, don't you think? So he goes on to say there's no thermal exhausts that are usually detected, and adding that we get intermittent radar returns. We get intermittent radar or radio returns, and we get intermittent thermal signatures. So listen, it boils down to this. They're at a congressional hearing, right? Senate hearing. They've got this brand new, wonderful toy in a department that is now funded to research these UFOs or UAPs or whatever three-letter word they want to give it. Yeah, they're spending money and they're looking because we are catching it now. Now, we all have this mobile movie studio in our pockets. We've got GoPros. I mean, the world is covered. I mean, just my house alone, I've got 3 cameras that record my house that have clear view to the sky, and I'm not original. There's tons of people out there that have it. So you're going to run into more and more of these sightings. But I find it interesting that we are now at a congressional hearing, the second in 50 years, that it's so important that we're spending time and resources in trying to figure out what this is. And I'm going to go ahead and show a clip here of some of this hearing. So hang on, check this out.
More than 50 years ago, the U.S. government ended Project Blue Book, an effort to catalog and understand sightings of objects in the air that could not otherwise be explained. For more than 20 years, that project had treated unidentified anomalies in our airspace as a national security threat to be monitored and investigated. In 2017, we learned for the first time that the Department of Defense had quietly restarted a similar organization tracking what we now call unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs. For too long, the stigma associated with UAPs has gotten in the way of good intelligence analysis. Pilots avoided reporting or were laughed at when they did. DoD officials relegated the issue to the back room or swept it under the rug entirely, fearful of a skeptical national security community. Today, we know better.
But do we? I feel like that's not the case. I feel like people who still report UAPs, UFOs, whatever have you, I still think there's a moniker behind that, and I still think people get ridiculed for reporting it. We love our show, and it's something that we do with utmost passion. But even when we report UFOs, it has to be under the moniker of paranormal. Well, of course it's paranormal. It isn't what we're used to dealing with. But if we're truly going to remove the stigma behind reporting UFOs and reporting the possibility of visitors from outside of our terrestrial realm, then we have to be real. And it's going to be scary. And I think that's a large reason as to why, when all this initially started many, many years ago, that the fear became a huge factor. And I think that hopefully that'll be removed at this point. Now with the government coming to the fold and at least admitting to us that there are things out there that they don't know or understand. We've known that for years. It's just nice to see that they've come to play the game.
We need to know, sirs, the status of the organization and the obstacle to getting it up and running. Secondly, you have to convince the audience today, and most especially our military and civilian aviators, the culture has changed. That those who report UAPs will be treated as witnesses, not as kooks. Thirdly, you need to show us, Congress, and the American public whose imaginations you have captured. You are willing to follow the facts where they lead. You know, we fear sometimes that the DoD is focused more on emphasizing what it can explain, not investigating what it can't.
For full-length audio, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcast. And on YouTube, please consider liking and subscribing for new content every week.